Hey followers, this is your boy, Movie Maker Doug 55. I welcome you today to Relentless and Unstoppable. Today I have Isaac Doman. He's a filmmaker based in Australia, and I'm pleased to have him on the show. Hey Isaac, how you doing?
Pretty good, thanks, Doug. I've just been dazed out a little bit from bed, but other than that, I'm going pretty well.
That's good to hear. I love the beard on you.
Or might be getting a Ned Kelly beard pretty soon.
Yeah. So let me get this straight. You said that you're a filmmaker and you also have autism. Is that right?
That is correct, yeah. I studied a diploma and an advanced diploma in screen and media. I only discovered my interest in filmmaking in around about 2016 or 2017, since I was writing a lot of documentary style fictional stories. And yeah, and with regards to my autism, I was diagnosed at the age of like 2.5 years of age.
Hmm. Interesting. I was diagnosed with autism at age 4 and I have Asperger's. Is that what you have, or do you just have autism?
I think I only have high functioning autism, pretty much.
Ah, alrighty. But yeah, Asperger's, as you and I know, is a type of autism, but it might be different from what you have, from what it looks like. So, yeah, I must ask you,
Hmm.
Isaac, what have you been doing these days?
Oh, I wonder what I could say. Yeah, well, as an Australian, br- I've been getting myself smashed all the time. No, I'm only joking. Um, yeah, well, yeah. So recently, I've been working 2 days a week with someone named Colin Frupp, who's working on a snake documentary at the moment for National Geographic, and just recently I've been going in on Thursdays selecting snake footage, so like picking out all this best like footage of like snakes in their natural habitats, and then and every Friday I've been researching some Wobble One and Two shipwrecks for this up and coming documentary. And this Saturday I'll be going to film a practice footy match for doing some filming and tagging for some AFL games or so, or amateur Aussie rules football games or so.
That's really interesting. That's really cool that you have that career. Where are you originally from?
I was born in South Australia, so here in my home country, which is very COVID safe. Of course, I was locked and all that. Um, but yeah, I was born in Flinders Hospital in the year 1999, and in mid 2011, I moved to Kangaroo Island very briefly, and the thing is, though, is that what changed. My experience on Kangaroo Island has actually kind of changed me quite significantly because previously I was going to a primary school, and had I not made the move, I would have been stuck at primary school. So nearly for the whole of my school career. So I went to Kingscote campus, which is like a school based on Kangaroo Island, and I I pretty much like entered mainstream school. And I briefly did modified SACE in year 10 and 11, but by year 12, because I excelled, they said that I had to do mainstream SACE or mainstream school. Um, so I had to endure like the hard tasks and do the hard yards and all that in year 12. And yeah, and then just recently, in early 2019, I had to make a emotional move from my parents to back to the mainland because I started doing a diploma in screen and media.
Hmm, pretty cool. So, what was your journey of living with autism like? Like, what was that like growing up?
Well, it's a very long and emotional story to go through, but what I remembered is that ever since I was diagnosed with autism at 2.5 years of age, the CAT team or Child Assessment Team, as they call it in SA or in Australia, had told my parents that I will not be able to go to the toilet independently. I will never be able to hear or speak. I will never be able to dress up. And of course, my ma kind of like rejected that notion. So I ended up like doing. So I ended up. They managed to like teach me a lot, like how to speak. I mean, the thing is too is that I didn't really talk appropriate sentences. I didn't really talk as much until eight and a half years of age or 8 years of age, and was when I began to say my proper words and all that, or say my proper sentences and all that. And but yeah, it's still been like very emotional or very difficult task to be someone living on the spectrum or someone living on the spectrum because I as you may notice I can repeat things. I sometimes like repetition so that I can get things down pat. I But yeah, the biggest thing I experienced was that I experienced like a life of difficulty at my primary school, and primary school is like, but I was at a special school, so special schools are like not the ones not the schools that you think of. They just mix you in with like a bunch of like people with disability and all that, and rather than like seeing the neurotypical person also, and it's just I felt almost it was like isolating really, like I and because I was like bullied every now and then, and sometimes I was because I was like picked on, targeted at times, and harassed. I, I also too sometimes would find a spot to go in my daydreams and into my stories and all that because of like I also too struggled to maintain myself, maintain my status in like group situations and all that. Like I remember once that it was like a group of five kids who only wanted to be a group of five kids, and they rejected me. And I remember that I broke down in tears as they began leave as they were about to leave me or so. Anyway, so yeah, it's just like or like the struggle of like finding group situations and all that. And I even experienced that difficulty with autism when I was at Kang when I was in Kangaroo Island too, because I still struggled to identify how people talked and all that because it was far more different experience to just like interacting with people with disability than interacting with people who are of neurotypical status or so.
Yeah.
So yeah. And I also remember that I on I often remember that sometimes I am quite scared of people as well, quite scared of like the public in general because of like I don't want to be yelled at or say screamed down or say to my core, maybe like a punch in the face or so. That's what I usually am like afraid of and all that. But in actual fact, I'm just different really. Like I'm like my weird self. Like for example, I remember I would just like laugh at a particular inside joke within my head, and my brother would say, Isaac, stop laughing, it's weird. And I'm going like, yeah, well, I'm a weird brother, Sam.
Good on you, man. Just curious, were you bullied by any of your family members as well, next to the people in school, or was that only in school?
It was mainly from school, but I have been like the subject of humiliation to my brother at times. Like he sometimes like I well, to be honest, I remember my brother would just like treat me like a child or so. He was kind of a shit. Well, not really a shit brother at all. I mean, I understand where he was his perspectives, where his views on like life was different, but still, I did not appreciate like the way he treated me and all that. Like he didn't like push me, or he didn't like I mean, he just like certainly was a bit harsh in treating me at times, though. Really, but he's a loving brother, and I know he's looking to reconcile with me, and I get it really. But yeah, it's just that
Yeah.
I mean, it's also too all about the forgiveness side of things too. I mean, he didn't really, I mean, he wasn't really bullying me at all, but it's just certainly he expressed his frustrations towards me, though. Really.
Yeah, that's really tough. And how did that make you feel when you were bullied and picked on in school? Like, did it leave an impact on you that you still feel to this day?
Not very often, really. I mean, I actually get impacted by like intense scenes or intense like sequences from like films a lot more than when I was bullied or so. But I mean, the way I was like being treated by like people, even in in workplaces as well. I mean, I don't. I mean, the bullying I can remember and I can understand why, because like the because like I understand that people that kids are quite cruel these days, like because of like we got like the whole cell phones and smartphone, like with the smartphones, and people are just like on their phones all the time, and like whether or not you fit in, like because like I didn't really fit into that football Aussie rules football category that they had over on around the country areas, how they can be narrow-minded at times. But
Oh, it looks
yeah,
like
it's just that
sorry to interrupt you, but it looks like Andy has made it in. So he might be able to add to this interview. Let's let him in. And guys, we are now joined by my longtime coach and mentor, Andy McPhee, who has just emerged from an audition. How you doing, Andy?
Emerged from an audition. Wow, that sounds like a horror film. Andy emerged out of this audition and emerged out into the street and into his car. Yeah, I did actually. I did. Yeah, just finished an audition. So, hey, really cool to hear a little bit about you, Isaac. I heard a bit about you over the last few weeks, and from our good friend Michael Gillian in Australia, who's also an actor come filmmaker, and he spoke very highly of you. And I apologise for coming in late to this, but I'd love to hear a little bit of Doug. Can you share a little bit about what Isaac's story is, and then I'd love to have a quick chat to Isaac.
Yeah, he told me that he's from South Australia. He also told me that for a number of years he lived on an island just off the mainland of Australia, I believe. And he also told me that he dealt with autism, not Asperger's, but normal high functioning autism growing up. And he also dealt with bullying and other struggles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, similar sort of stories to yours and Brenton's.
Yeah, very similar.
Hey, yeah, awesome. Well, thanks, Doug. Isaac, how you doing, mate?
pretty good, thanks.
Yeah,
It's all
awesome.
nice and dark and cloudy in SA, but naturally I love it.
Yeah, right. Hey, where'd you live? Kangaroo Island or Tasmania?
I was on Kangaroo Island, so I lived there ever since. Yeah, I lived there on ever since mid 2011, but in early 2019, I have to move back here into a family friends so that I can study a diploma and a advanced
Oh,
diploma in screening media at
oh,
Maps Film
cool.
School.
Awesome. Hey, tell me, do you miss being on Kangaroo Island?
I do actually, yeah. It's just
Yeah,
like a lot. It's just like has that
just
country X. It's just
yeah,
like
and you
has
really
that
are separated a little bit from the rest of the country, aren't you? It's a cool little place to, be away from the
mm,
real world for a while.
yeah. Well, I mean, in actual fact, I always wanted to live there forever. In many respects, just
Mm,
how George Orwell moved over to the island of Jura and wrote 1984. But yeah, Kangaroo Island's like is like a beautiful place. It's just like reminds me
yeah,
of like almost has that same aesthetic as like of like England or Ireland in
yeah.
around like winter and all that. Though it
Mm,
is like very notorious for its like high winds and all that, but I just
yeah.
loved it really. It's like has
Oh,
that.
that's awesome, mate. You're making me
Yeah.
homesick, mate. Stuck here with 25 million people in LA, and you're talking about Kangaroo Island. It's like that couldn't be more apart and more different, right?
Sometimes I want to send Andy away to an island.
Yeah, that's okay, mate. Yeah, he's trying to get Aussie humour going, mate, but he's just struggling a little bit. He failed miserably when he didn't know who AC/DC was, so that's okay. We just let that go.
Yeah, absolutely. The weather in Phoenix is currently good too, and that's an interesting band that we just played for everybody. Are they?
Oh, mate. Oh, don't even start me. Aren't they awesome? Like, just the most incredible band, Nate. The most incredible band.
Yeah, are they brand new or something?
What?
Are they brand new? Like, are they a brand new band?
Okay. Breathe. That is AC/DC, Doug.
AC/DC? Who are they?
Hey, Isaac. So tell me, what got you? Because I know we all know Doug's story about what got him into authoring, but what got you into filmmaking? What actually drew you into all that?
Well, I've been to start off with. I've been having some very ultra realistic stories where I hoped one day I'll be able to lead a clone army into in the real world and all that, and probably try and change the world. Like,
Huh.
oh, there's an Isaac there. There's an Isaac there. Get your own Isaac. And yeah, and then my part, but then my parents says, "Oh no, it's not going to happen. Well, you can make it into a story, though." And I'm going, oh,
and
oh, go away. But then I then realized that you can actually make a lot of clone films and all that into like onto screen and all that. And I mean, I was originally thinking about writing it as a book, which and of course I also too wrote my own films and all that. But
Mm,
yeah, so like I mean, I am thinking about like writing a book or novel as well and changing it into
yeah,
like a film. But then yeah, then I noticed how practical filmmaking is and all that. And ever since I was like doing photography at yeah, ever since I was like doing studying photography in year 11 and 12, I thought this is like almost like similar to filmmaking, and everybody
mm,
else is like was like making movie posters in my photography class, and I went like, okay, well, if I want to try and be an unofficial philosopher in fire art, why not we give filmmaking a try? So yeah, and then I started to just like so yeah, it's just like
That's
And
awesome, man.
yeah, so and also too, it would avoid me like sitting down like playing shooter games and all that, which I'm into as well, but haven't been
Mm.
giving myself the time to into it or so. And yeah,
Well, I guess what I'm hearing is like, yeah, there's nothing wrong with games. Like, I mean, if you're addicted to them and you spend all day or 24 hours, yeah, there's something wrong with it. Or not the game, but just the addiction. But there's nothing at all wrong with having any type of other hobby or passion, you know. But what I love hearing is that you haven't allowed that to take your time away from something that you're really good at, you know, which is filmmaking. And I guess video games have got a little bit of that aspect in there, right? A few elements in the video games. I'm sure you pick
yeah,
up ideas from them, and the stories and, you know, how they shoot and all that. So I don't know if you're aware, but I just finished playing a character on Pacific Rim's The Black, which is on Netflix at the moment. And I play the main antagonist in that, Shane, with a voiceover, obviously. And I'm not really a big fan of anime because I've never watched it. Let me tell you, and not just because I had a part in it, I actually sat down and watched the whole series in 2 nights. It was really good. And I've had friends of mine now watching it, and they're going, you know what, I've never watched animes. This is awesome. And I've got mates of mine watching it night after night because I really love how you connect up with these characters. And, you know, I've always loved cartoons, but not really been into this type of style, you know. But it's actually great. I was really impressed with how they brought all this together. It would be so awesome to watch it on a big movie screen. That was their hope, but because of COVID, they couldn't do it. But gee whiz, I'd love to see it on a massive movie screen.
Yeah, I was watching it the other night and it was badass. No other way to put
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
I'm
Wouldn't it be
surprised.
great on a big screen? Like, it'd be so in your face, you know.
Yeah, and I'm not
Um,
surprised that Andy played the antagonist.
mm. Yeah, nothing will surprise me about you, Doug Kenny, especially not knowing AC/DC. I just can't get over that. I had nightmares over that. Isaac, that's cool. Have you got any? Have any of your films like won awards, or you've got them into independent theatres? Are you trying to do that if that hasn't happened?
well, I think according to my Vimeo, I entered my soldier on into like about how many? Can't quite remember, maybe 10 or 12 festivals or so,
Mm.
and my documentary into like about 10 or so festivals or so. In actual, um, it has been like my other films like has been like shown around in like a film festival in Kangaroo Island called From the Hearts.
Mm.
But yeah, I've been contacted from someone from the Sydney Film Festival by the name of
Oh,
Justin,
awesome, man.
and they wanted me to submit my drama short film and documentary as well. So I submitted it to the Sydney Film Festival, but I actually have managed to get a certificate of excellence for finalist for being finalist into Beyond the Curve Film Festival. And
Yeah.
you'll see my film poster on there, but in actual fact, I just got it right here.
Oh, nice.
Oh man.
Oh, that's awesome.
Huge
Yeah, it's really cool.
congratulations.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
really great.
yeah.
And look, Isaac, that's awesome. So we'd love you to also share a bit of your story later on. Doug will give you the details, and Doug will put the link here to our latest creation I started about 4 months ago. It was to create a community project through a self-expression leadership program I did. And the program is up and running now. It's called Spark, and you know, I handed it over to people with special abilities, you know, who've dealt with circumstances in life. Doug's one of the team leaders. He built the website. We'd really love you to jump on our LinkedIn and Facebook page and just share a little bit about your journey of what it was like dealing with autism, bullied at school, and then how you've just stepped over that and discovered a passion that you're really good at. And I honestly say, if you stick at it, it won't be long before one of your movies gets up somewhere and gets on the big screen when we can get back into the movies. But it's just such an awesome story, man. And I would like to not have this the last interview we do with you, because I'd really love to hear more, you know?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, though it will take me a long time to just like write up about my journey or so, really.
Yeah.
So I might be able to find that though anyway.
Yeah.
Like,
That's all cool, but there's no hurry. You know, the project's there, it's up and running now, so it'd be great to have you on there. But hey, man, thanks for spending the time. Thanks for, you know, calling from way down south of Australia and South Australia. And Doug, thanks again for making this happen through our wonderful friend Michael Gillian, actor and movie maker. That's it for me, and thank you again, Isaac. Really appreciate your time, man.
not a problem.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you
you.
very much, Isaac, and thank you very much, Andy, for being the best coach and mentor ever.
Okay, I like you again.
Yeah, you're beautiful inside and out.
Do you know Nick Kelly?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Alrighty.
what a day.
So
I love Ned Kelly. I love the Australian Bush Rangers. They're awesome.
alrighty.
All right.
I want to thank you all for appearing on the show, and followers, check out Isaac on this link. And we'll see you next time on Being Relentless and Unstoppable.